Clinton?
Shirley Clinton's on the phone, Captain.
Hello, Shirley.
The taxi driver Grant was investigating brought us to the Ardmore storage garage at 8th and Laurel.
Why there?
He claims that's where he picked up Jim. Grant thinks it may be a trap, and he wants Kirby Walsh to dash right over here as fast as he can.
Right.
Hey, where's Farrell? Didn't he come up here?
Don't you remember? You were supposed to bring him here.
But he wouldn't let me drive him up. Say, wait a minute. Maybe he got wise to something.
You didn't make any slips, did you?
Not a one. Not a sworn he fell for my story.
It's a cinch something went wrong. Well, there's nothing left to do but clear out of here before the cops arrive. Get the car started.
What's your hurry? Get out of that car.
Still inside?
Yes, I just got back from phoning Blair.
I was only a few blocks away when your message reached me. Got here as fast as I could, Greg. Unfortunately, it wasn't fast enough.
You mean it was a trap?
Yes, just as I figured. Won't do any good to go in there now, Kirby. There's a fire escape on the other side. They've already gotten away.
Well, what's our next move?
Well, have some of your men go through the building. There may be a clue in there that'll lead us to Mr. M. I'll send out a call from the car.
All right. You failed to get him at the garage. What you and Donner should do now is lie low. Farrell got a good look at you.
We have more than Farrell to worry about. Weatherby's upstairs talking to Grandma.
Yeah, what about that lawyer? If your grandmother ever comes out from under that hypnotreme, Mr. Waldron, she's liable to say plenty.
She won't come out of it.
But there's still a chance she might.
All right, get up there and listen in. If anything goes wrong, don't let Weatherby leave this house.
You know perfectly well, Weatherby, I won't sign these documents till I talk the whole thing over with Marina and Derek.
But, Mrs. Waldron, it's important there be no further delay in the matter. After all, I'm thinking of your interests.
Then why don't you handle my affairs the way your father did when he was alive?
I'm trying to, but frankly, you've made it very difficult the last 2 months. Why, it's almost as if you've become another person.
Perhaps you're right. Sometimes.
You forget that Grandma hasn't been well.
I have been ill, haven't I? I almost forgot.
Yes, and I have too. About the papers, shall I come back for them?
Of course. But let me send for you.
Certainly. Good night, Mrs. Waldron.
Good night.
Grandma isn't as young as she used to be, Mr. Weatherby. She's aged a lot recently.
I should have realized that, Miss Lamont. I'm sorry. Good night.
Good night. Grandma? Yes, Marina. You're going to bed, dear, right now.
Oh, darling,
And no argument.
And I certainly had a scare.
I thought Grandma was coming out from under the influence of Hypnotreme and that Weatherby was suspicious.
What makes you so sure now that he isn't?
He's convinced she's failing from old age.
Does Grandma need any more Hypnotreme?
I don't think so. But how did you know what went on upstairs?
I had Derek listen from the hall, just in case.
That was a smart move. I'd have felt easier if I'd known Derek was there. I was worried myself for a while about Weatherby. I'm still worried about Grandma.
Yes, she's pretty feeble at that.
Maybe a reaction from the chemicals, so we'll have to watch out. Nothing drastic must happen to Grandma. Her fine reputation in this town is the best shield we possess.
Ironical, though, isn't it? That she got it partly trying to live down your path.
Fortunately, neither she nor the police know that I'm alive.
Mr. Waldron. Look.
Where did you get this record, Archie?
In the cabinet with the M tags. It's from that guy who calls himself the real Mr. M.
We know who it's from.
Your plan to send the police on a wild goose chase for a make-believe Mr. M, while you search for the new Kittridge submarine engine has failed. Detail a man to watch Grant Farrell, who has been sent from Washington to locate that engine. Be prepared to take advantage of any discovery he makes. Disobey this order at your peril. The mysterious Mr. M.
I don't like this situation at all.
Who does? There's nothing we can do about it.
Our only chance is hold out on him once we get the complete plans for the engine.
Now you're talking sense, Derek. Hold out on him. Make him reveal himself. Get in touch with Doninger. Have him trail Grant Farrell.
Right.
Padlock the garage, Kirby. Station guards outside not to let anyone enter. Kirby had men search the place last night. Went over it himself just now. And not a clue to Mr. M or to Dr. Kittridge's missing plans for the miracle submarine of his.
From the way M has been acting, we can assume that Kittridge must have had help in developing his invention.
Well, why haven't those who worked with him contacted the police?
The doctor is very secretive, Shirley. He may have taken a lesson from the way the government developed the atomic bomb.
You mean he might have contracted for outside work under a dozen different names?
Exactly. And M is trying to locate them.
In that case, we're really up against something.
Say, we may be overlooking our best bet. My brother Jim. He may be able to give us a lead to the companies that have been helping Kittridge.
But you've already questioned him without getting anything.
I questioned him about Mr. M, not about Kittridge's submarine engine. Call the hospital, will you, Captain Blair, and tell them I'm coming over. Want to come along, Shirley?
Sure.
Your brother's come to see you, Mr. Farrell. Dr. Blakely said you could just stay a few minutes.
Yes, I know. Jim, this is Grant.
Hello, Grant.
I'm very sorry, Jim, but I do need your help.
Sure, Grant, sure.
Do you recognize this man as Dr. Kittridge?
No. He's Goodhue. Arthur Goodhue.
Did you ever do any work for him?
Yes.
What kind of work, Jim? Was it for a submarine engine?
He never said, but I always thought it was.
Just one more question, Jim, then you can rest.
Don't bother about me, Grant. I have plenty of time to rest.
Do you know anyone else who did any special work for this man?
My friend, Bill Brewster. Bill's head of research, Chandler Oil. He's developing a new fuel.
You'd better go now, Mr. Farrell.
Isn't there something I can do?
I'm afraid not.
Yes?
Two friends of Jim Farrell to see you, Mr. Brewster.
Send them in.
Make yourself comfortable, gentlemen. I'll be with you in a moment.
Take your time.
a lot of inflammable chemicals in here, so it's very dangerous to smoke.
Thanks for opening a safe for us, Mr. Brewster.
Well, you won't gain anything by holding me up. There's nothing of any value in that safe to you.
It's money you're referring to. That's not what we're after.
It isn't.
We want the formula for the new gasoline you're working on. Or a submarine engine.
Well, how did you find out about that?
There isn't much Mr. M doesn't know.
Mr. M?
See what's in the safe. Mr. M wants to talk to you about that formula, so it'll save time if you bring it along with you.
Well, it isn't here.
Maybe it's out at the field laboratory office.
It is, and you can't get it out of there.
There's nothing in the safe at all but this.
Looks like a carburetor. Small, though. A model? For the new fuel you're making up? Answer it.
Yes?
Grant Farrell to see you, Mr. Brewster.
Just a moment.
We can't let him wait outside. The secretary might tell him two friends of his brother in here.
Yeah, that's right.
Let him in as soon as we get behind the screen. Get rid of him fast and don't give him any information, understand?
Don't try any funny business, because if you do, you'll get the first bullet.
Let Mr. Farrell come in.
You don't know me, Mr. Brewster.
I do know your brother. Glad to meet you, Mr. Farrell. Say, by the way, how is Jim?
He's in a very serious condition. The doctor doesn't give me much hope that he'll pull through.
Sorry to hear that. A very fine person. In fact, none better.
Thanks. I think he's pretty swell myself.
Oh, I was just getting ready to leave. I have an appointment.
Well, if you could answer a couple of questions before you go, it would help me a lot. Have a smoke?
No, thanks. That sign really means what it says.
Oh, I didn't notice it.
I'm sorry to rush you, but I'm really in a hurry.
Well, I'll be just as brief as I can.
Oh, you were saying?
Your phone is ringing.
Yes. Thank you. Hello, Brewster speaking. Oh, I'm sorry, Jackson. I'm busy. I can't talk now. I'll have to call you back.
I'm curious to meet the two men that are here with you, Brewster. Come out from behind that screen. Mr. M's men beat us to it. Brewster's been shot. I don't know how badly. I'm going back to see. Wait here for me.
And in the mix-up, Barron was killed. But I got Brewster, so I don't think Farrell will be getting any information.
What do we do now?
Get out to that field office.
Where's Grant?
Out with Shirley. Telephoned in, he got himself a lead to M through a wounded man named Brewster.
We'll be at the Chandler oil field any minute now.
I know, but I won't relax until we have that secret formula for motor fuel that Brewster talked about.
We'll get it. It's in the field laboratory where he said it is. I'm Grant Farrell.
Okay, Mr. Farrell.
You get things started. I'll go in.
where you are until I find the lights.
What do we do with the girl? Put her in the closet.